Robert Jordan. Larry Lynn. Gary Metzger. Frank Mulholland. Bobby Orman. Gary Patterson. Robert Simpson. David Switz. Dan Weatherell. And Lynn Williams.
Here. Okay. Everybody was sent out a copy of the minutes of the meeting or in the packet. Does anybody have an amendment, or do we have a motion to approve that?
I so move.
Dale Weatherall moves. Jerry Verdeen seconds. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Motion approved. We've got a resignation in the board, and we need to replace Mr. Arthur. And Jeff Slifer has been nominated. I'd like to appoint Jeff Slifer to the County Board District 6. I need a resolution to do so.
I so move. Second.
We cannot have your masters. Could you speak up, please?
Dale and Earl. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
Okay, please raise your right hand. I state your name. Having been appointed to the office of Shelby County Board District 6 in the County of Shelby, in the state of Illinois, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Board District 6 to the best of my ability.
Okay, next item, Steve Malega and Jared Ruffin. We have an update on COVID as we enter phase 4.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Jared, right there. It's my pleasure to come talk to you today and give you an update on COVID-19. Jared and I have been working really hard, and other county departments and officials. Just got to give you a little background. In Shelby County, we're running the National Incident Management System. That's a FEMA system for disasters. In that system, we have a unified command structure. Unified command structure allows first responders and law enforcement and all the players at the hospital and those kind of organizations to minimize risk to Shelby County residents. With that, we have the JIT, the Joint Information Center. That's where our communications comes out. Our communications comes out through Shelby EMA. And we dealt with lots of different scenarios, from deaths, for testing people that have died, to going with all types of guidance to nursing homes, to the funeral homes, to dentist offices, to all the businesses and manufacturing. I would anticipate in the last 4 months we've had 5,000 phone calls. It's been nonstop, especially now that before when we were separating essential and non-essential businesses and that. I'm pleased to report that in Shelby County and the state of Illinois, we're doing pretty good compared to the rest of the country, although we kind of started out early. Here, we have Illinois, and you can see the spikes in cases. Everybody can see this. You see that center spike? That's mid-May. That's apex. In Illinois, the apex is in mid-May. You can see now, July 6th, we are down. We are down to one of the other states in the country pretty much at this point. That's due to the hard work of community leaders and individuals and so forth. So at open up again, we will then be in the second wave. There's no doubt about it. Apex is hit midday. It's at the top, about 4,000 cases at that point. If it starts spiking again, if it starts going up at this point, going back up rising, we will be in the second wave at this point. Now, if you look at Shelby County, everybody knows what Shelby County looks like. We've got 7 different surrounding neighbors. See that key bar? See how that light color is in Shelby County right there in that map? You guys see this? That's the lowest number of cases in the area other than FEM, which are a neighbor. You look at those other counties, all the brighter colors around them. That's our risk level right there. You know, we're opened up now. Everything's pretty much back to normal almost. And now we're going to be traveling. We're going to be taking vacations and that. And there's where our risk is as we commute and move and take vacations to other areas. So, we can't contain the virus. We only can minimize the risk of exposure. There's 3 million cases in the United States right now. The information with people needing hospital treatment and ICU is still remaining at 20%. So 80% of people are going to recover from this. Now, we'll have Chris pass out the metrics for Shelby County. This is metrics from the state IPH website. This is from June 21st, 2022, June 27th, 2020. While she's passing that out, we'll give you a little update what we're doing here locally. Locally right now, we have 19 positive cases. We had 1 death of a 73-year-old male that was in healthy condition. He rode his bike 3 times a week, 5 miles a day, full hypertension, no diabetes. It can happen. It's not something that can't happen. Of those 19 positive cases, several of them have been involved with healthcare workers in nursing homes and other healthcare settings, group homes and that. We've been fortunate. We've had major outbreaks in large facilities in our county, but we've been able to minimize that, again, reducing the risk, reducing the exposure, testing all those people, sending out isolation voluntary isolation letters, asking them to stay home for 10 days or 14 days, depending if they're positive. They changed the parameters from positives from 7 days to 10 days. The last 3 days have to be fever-free, feel good, and then you go back to work. So, of that, in Shelby County alone, we had 1,242 negative tests. We have testing for every resident in every village and town. I mapped it out back in the first end of March and beginning of April. And Windsor, Tower Hill, Siegel, all those counties, Shelbyville, all those, we got representation from all those individual cities, towns, and villages. Of the 1,242 negative tests, we retested 473 times of those people, that group. This double check, make sure that they still remain negative, so they go back into their employer, spread that into that long-term care facility, and they could have been tested either 1 or 2 more times. Now, I don't know if you pay attention a little bit here, just recently on the news, Vermilion County, we had the first grade schooler tested positive. We also had 2 people tested positive in their 20s. I met last week with superintendent and administrators of Shelbyville school systems. I talked with, we had a conference call. Chris and I did with County Herrick Schools, our environmental health divisions discussing the fall classes with Old Hall Valley. We had a lot of things going on. So here, this blue section here, blue is good. I don't know why they didn't use green, but blue is good. And this is the metrics for Shelby County alone, right here. For that week, the most current data going to be June 27th. New cases per 100,000, we had 2 in that week. Number of deaths, 0. Tested positivity rate, less than 1%, 0.9. Illinois dropped down to a positivity rate of 2.5%, which is really good. Now, can we maintain it? That's the question. Can we be good stewards stewards and use common sense to keep ourselves healthy, and then we basically minimize our risk when we go to other counties, other states, and those kind of things. So we have to do our due diligence to maintain that. If you look down at this point, below that, percentage of positive tests reported Sunday through Saturday. Again, 0.9%, less than 1%. Emergency department visits for COVID-19 live illnesses, 1.4% in our county. So in our county, we're doing really well. I showed you that purple down. I think you guys give yourself all around applause, all the citizens, and that we're doing a really good job. Whether we can maintain it, what we can do is try to minimize our risk and exposure at this point. And that's what it's all about. It's not containment, it's minimizing risk and exposure like insurance. Here's what's passing out. Well, that's your copies out there, people. This came out 1 day ago from the Texas Medical Association. And this is your risk level for attending certain events. And this puts you at risk, like insurance, like minimizing people stepping off of a sidewalk by painting the sidewalk with a yellow line. We'll have extra copies of these. These will tell you what your risk level is for attending these particular events. And it's up to you. It's a free country. You do what you want. We have to be good stewards and use common sense. If we maintain that and do that, if we can maintain our county to be at the low level of COVID, and hopefully people will be safe and well. Jared, what do you have to add?
Just from my part of it, like Steve said, I've been issuing all the press releases for the county. The other roles I've played is logistics and receiving resources and distributing those resources out to our long-term care facilities, our medical facilities, and our first responders as they need it. As it stands right now, due to the positivity rate decreasing, what we're being advised to do by the state is to try to continue managing and tracking those resources, but also try to stockpile some of those resources so we have them in the event that we do go into a second wave this fall. So for today, that's where we're at. Of course, as Steve said in March, when we were sitting right here, first brought this up, everything could change. Everything could change tomorrow. But right now, that's where we're sitting pretty good. A lot of that is due to the citizens of the county doing what's right. Anybody has any questions? I'm happy to answer.
So this looks like a website. What's the address of that website?
Just go to Shelby, www.shelbyhealth.net. Click on IDPH metrics from Story, Illinois. You can see metrics right there. It's all there. You know, John Hopkins there. You see every COVID case in the world by real time. You see it by individual counties. It's phenomenal the amount of information that's out there.
Steve, I've been following that website since it started. I would recommend anybody go on that. You can see anything and everything about COVID, anywhere in the state. You can see the hot spots, see not. It's been very helpful for me.
Steve, I wanted to ask you, if you have you done any tracking as far as, or do you know of any tracking? Is there a higher risk level or incident rate as opposed to the type of blood?
Yes, I mean, it's reported on the news today. Type O they think it's association, not a correlation. The type O blood types, people have a 35% less likelihood of being severe case of COVID. Now, I don't know. I believe type O is a universal donor. Probably most people. I didn't look at the population of the United States and say a lot of people have more O type than A. A is the other one. A is they say, New England Journal of Medicine came out and said A type of blood has a 35% more likely chance of having a severe case of COVID, and the other two blood types they don't know yet. It's a significant amount of information. Now, if anybody wants tested, they don't need a physician's order, they don't need a doctor's order, they can just call the hospital, they'll set them up, run right to the drive-thru and get tested. If you want to go to the hospital, you can go to Bloomington Bloomington, Decatur, or Champaign for the drive-thrus there, and get tested that way. So testing is available, but testing is only good on the day you get the test. I get tested today. I walk down here, and Larry's infected, and I go over and get close to him, and then I get it. Next day, it's changed. Antibody testing is getting better, but they're also saying that the antibodies, Tom Hanks was on the news this morning talking about antibodies that they tested his blood that possibly only lasted maybe 1 or 2 months, and then maybe he can get reinfected at this point. And then we have to look at the mutations. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, or excuse me, anybody's name is Debbie here. My buddy Davey, who's deceased now, I can call him Davey Downer sometimes because he'd say some stuff like, negative. But I think we're doing a great job, and hopefully this answers some of your questions. And keep up the good work, all the citizens and people of Shelby County, and doing a fantastic job. That's it. Thank you, Jerry. Anything to add?
I'm good.
Okay. So what happens here now? Chris will have them. Anybody got extra copies of the wrist ones? Basically, big rock concerts don't go to them, or country don't go to them, because lots of people there. So. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next item on the agenda is County Clerk Jessica Fox has got a report on selection of judges.
Every 2 years, the county board approves the proper ratio of persons to serve as election judges in each election precinct from the certified list which have been furnished by the chairman of the county central committees. The number of votes cast for governor in the last 3 governor elections determines the ratio of Democratic and Republican judges in each precinct. Based upon those numbers, the ratio of 3 Republican judges and 2 Democratic judges will be used in all 33 precincts. A copy of the governor's vote total spreadsheets for the years 2010, 2014, and 2018 is available in the county clerk's office, as is the list of judges that were submitted by the central committee chairs. And I just need a motion and a vote to approve that.
Okay, we have a motion by Kenny over here and a second by Mr. Gary. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Motion carries. Erica, monthly revenue expense and investment.
All right, the general fund available cash report. We began the month of June with $1.869,792,020. Our outstanding payroll liability is $85,000. Revenue for June was $201,880.50. Expenses for June were $362,215.55, which leaves us an ending balance in the general fund of $1,689,097.16, with $545,013.89 that being restricted funds, leaving a total cash balance for the county of $1,144,083.77. Looking through that report, even through fiscal year 19, I think maybe it should cause a little bit of concern. It's just going down and down and down. Now, we will have a tax disbursement in July. Should be roughly $1 million, probably a little over $1 million into that cash reserve. But looking at our expenses over our revenues over the last, this year, we're not on a very good track. We're on a pretty good track to go through that $1 million quick.
Have you looked at last year's the same time, just kind of see where we're at?
Last year, the end of June, we had $1,411,157.09. But we also know that our revenues are going to go down given the state of, we know our revenues are not going to probably be going up. I'm not sure things will turn around for talking one night for a couple of years. And as the state gets behind, we also run the risk of the state becoming delinquent on some of their reimbursements. Obviously, the taxes that come in are going down. Right now, our probation is 2 to 3 months in arrears. And I talked to Michelle several years ago when the state was in a real
has it made with people coming in to pay their tax bills?
Yeah, we're actually a little bit ahead of where we were last year on the
Really?
first disbursement. As far as traffic into the courthouse, we did not have as much. We had a lot more people paying at the banks. You know, and mail's always heavy up through that first disbursement. Typically, we get around 66% of the taxes paid by the first due date. And I think it makes a difference. What makes more of a difference is the farming season. You know, crops went in this year, and there was some replanting, but I think things are on schedule there. Last year, everything was behind because of the flooding, and that caused a lot of taxes to be laid last year. This year, it's not looking like, not so much so. We seem to have more of that coming in. And really have not had a lot of complaints about, I can't pay my taxes due to COVID.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
think I've had fielded 2 or 3 phone calls asking that, but not very many.
Thank you.
Do you know, is there more people paying both payments, both installments at once now? So we've got a little bit more?
We're just a little bit ahead. We collected right at 19 million. After the first disbursement last year, we were just under 19 million. I mean, so we're just right on track where we normally are. I was kind of shocked last year and this year how many people pay both installments, especially when you're talking about a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 payment. But then I think people don't want to run the risk of it being late or, you know, putting it in the mail. So I hope the mail is a mother's, you know, process, but a lot of them paying in banks this year.
Usually, like if you got someone late on their taxes, we always publish that in the newspaper. We don't have a newspaper.
Well, it'll be printed on, it's discussion out within the Treasurers Association. I mean, it's been something with the association has discussed since I've been part of it, because we all knew the day was coming that paper print wasn't going to be there. So, it will go out in a county paper, maybe the Beecher City or online with Shelby County. I don't have that answer yet. It's something that's all part of the discussion.
Is that according to law that we have to do?
It has to be published in a county paper, a county-wide paper, which we don't have one now. So I don't have that answer. That will be an October issue.
Well, my wife asked me that question. I said, I don't know. I know somebody that does know.
Well, I'm waiting for them to tell me, because the statute says we have to do it, but we don't have a paper, so I don't know where that leaves me. I do think Jessica and I talked, we're probably going to have to get our county website up and running, so stuff can at least post there, and Effingham is at least posting on the Daily Union website, from my understanding, that
Erica, just real quick, we'll be able to help you with that
printing,
come October, not printing, but
publishing online.
online. Yeah, I can't say any more than that, but come September, Miller Media will have an answer for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that aspect? And quickly, we got from the Illinois Department of Revenue, the state, as you well know, sets the state attorney's salary, which in turn sets the public defender's salary, and their numbers came out effective July 1. The state's attorney's salary is going to $138,603.11. The public defender has to be at 90% of that, so the public defender's salary is going to $124,742.80. And that will be effective on the payroll that we're processing now. And so I need to have a motion that we accept those salaries.
Shouldn't salaries and stuff go through fees and salaries?
The state dictates this.
I understand that, but shouldn't fees and salaries be the ones that are?
I just got this last Thursday, and actually it didn't come in the mail. I was talking to the treasurer of Richmond County. She told me she called the state, because typically we might get these 2 months late, and then we have to go back and reimburse. So when I was talking to her, and she told me she just called them, and they went ahead and sent it to her. I called the state, and they sent it to me. I got this Thursday.
has to have the county board minutes where this was approved.
Yes.
It has to be sent to the state, so.
And I don't doubt what she's saying is correct. I mean, I've been through this enough. It's up to you guys if you want to make a motion to approve the increase of the public offender. Huh?
It is on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. The dollar amount is, it's item 7.
I just have a question on that. So it's going to start out, or it's already started out, is that correct?
Well, it's effective July 1. We have
Okay,
to
so
pay
it
over
started
Friday.
out.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Okay. So the new state's attorney, this one's not going to be running, so we're going to have a new state's attorney coming in. Does she start at that salary?
Yes, this will be her salary.
So she will start out at that salary?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted
And
to
the
know.
state dictates that, but the county has no say in that.
Yeah, that's the state's attorney salary, which is 130.
It's going to be 138, 603.11.
But the
Which we
salary,
get quite a bit of reimbursement for, but the county's on the hook for the taxes,
How much reimbursement?
and insurance.
How much reimbursement?
We get hers at full reimbursement,
You get a full reimbursement, okay.
and what do we get for the public?
almost full. I have to look at those. I know he has to be at 90%. I have those numbers for tomorrow's budget.
We do get we do get a portion of his salary back.
I would like to, I know we may vote on this, and that's fine, I'm fine with that. But maybe we need to put this on the agenda when this comes out the next time to be ahead of it. Can we do that?
Well, it sounds like she didn't even get the numbers.
I
until
typically
after
get it
the
2 months late. If I hadn't called the state on Thursday because I talked to my counterpart in Christian County, who told me she went ahead and called and asked for it, a lot of times we get it 2 months down the road, and then we have to go back and backdate them because we have to make it retroactive to July 1st.
Okay.
So I got this information out as fast as I possibly could.
I'm sure you did. I'm
And
sure you did.
I've got it for the departments so they can make amendments to their budgets. You know, and better now to get it in their budget than we get it 2 months down the road when I wait for the state
So
to give
you're
it to
asking-
me and we've already set a budget. Yeah,
Okay,
it's going to be
Thank you.
in their budget.
thank you.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve? Okay, we have a motion by Barb and a second by Brian Kaufman. Any further discussion?
I don't believe I said anything.
I thought you said, oh, okay.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Okay, we have a second by Robert. And do we have any further discussion?
They're gonna do any good what we do here. It's gonna happen just like we say. So I don't know why we vote on it, or our representative don't be voting on it up there. And down here, we ain't got no control. So we got after and all over the cities, we don't have nothing to say about the damn thing. It comes from the top. I don't know what the damn thing is. It ain't gonna do no good by the house.
Okay, so those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
No.
Okay. Pardon?
But we do get reimbursement. We don't do a roll call anymore.
I think it's all yeas except for one nay. Unless you got a nay.
No,
Okay, I think we only got one nay, and that's Ken. Okay, so the motion passes. Okay, Eric, anything else? Item 8, the grievance committee, request approval for agreement between Shelby County Board of Criminal Order and Police to settle grievance file. Dale?
In absence of our state's attorney, who is meeting with the police right now, meeting case that she's got coming up. So she asked me, she just called us from Monroe, said she couldn't make it. You all received your packet here, it stands under at the bottom, it says filed June the 29th. This is what we set up. We talked about it at our closed meeting last time. We thought we were going to be able to vote on it again. This here is what we hammered out with the FOP. And I make a motion to go ahead and except what the committee looked at.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dale and a second by Randolph. Any discussion on this matter?
There's two copies of this sent out. The copy that we're voting on is the one with number 3, so the upon implementation.
The one we're voting on is the one that's stamped 5.
Okay, so what's number 3 mean?
That's one that I think Erica, Jessica, Gary, somebody sent out. That was not ever presented to the committee and it was never presented to the MOT.
No, what's number 3 mean?
Oh, what's it mean? I thought you meant what the other one means.
Okay, if this is the one filed, so this is the one we're voting on, what does 3 mean?
Okay. All that means is, which has been on anything I've ever, I've been involved on, if the election comes up that for some reason we're issuing a payroll check, they want it on a separate check and not add in their 2 weeks pay because that would affect their tax withholding. So that's all that means.
Oh, okay.
But the language in that says reimbursement, not payroll check. A reimbursement could be a separate check unless taxes need to be taken out. And the union contract specifically states there's one instance in which the FOP get 2 checks. It's when we do a retroactive pay. If we are going to use this language to change the contract, then there needs to be a memorandum of understanding because the contract doesn't have language to make the payroll department produce 2 payroll checks in 1 payroll period. It's very difficult to process 2 payroll checks in 1 payroll period. But a payroll check and a reimbursement check are 2 different issues.
Okay, I got a question. You talked about a memorandum of understanding. Is that what this,
I don't know, I've asked for...
oh, so you don't even have the interpretation?
I requested interpretation from my state attorney, I requested it from the grievance committee, and I got nothing. I finally got a phone call from someone who got an answer, and then I reworded it because my understanding, number 3, was there are 3 groups of employees over there. One group who's accepted the payroll change we did in May, and they got their 1-week pay or their benefit time pay. They chose whatever they chose, and they're moving on. You have a second group who chose to cash out benefit time and now wants to purchase that back through payroll at 4 hours for 10 payrolls, and then, they can put it
Well,
back in there.
this solution here is a memorandum of understanding the way the law is. And
But
we
the
can
member,
go ahead,
it does not make
excuse me, hold on here. We can vote for this because, it's been accepted by the union, it's been accepted by the committee, and now it comes to us here.
I probably flooded the water up a little bit because I struggled with number 3. I talked to Gary and he was kind enough to put up with me. I talked to Dale and he put up with me for a while. I could not figure out why, when everybody had already made the decision, I thought, to either go with skipping a week's pay or cashing in benefits. And then it talked about writing a check. Well, everybody's already done the change. And Gary and I he finally got it through my thick head that what it is, there's a group that decided they didn't want to make a decision until after this grievance was passed. And now they're going to make up their mind whether they want to skip the week's pay as they have, or if they're in a financial bind or feel like they're cut close on money, they can choose to go back and take a paycheck to fill the tide of getting the adjustment made. And Gary finally got that through my head. I appreciated that. And the thing that went out, the change, I felt like something needed to be said just on that point. So if that other confused people, I'm the guilty person. I talked to different ones and they said, well, somebody needs to explain that before we vote on it. So if I put mud in the water there for you, I apologize. but I think I cleaned that up enough so that they got their my fix going. And I understand the meaning of that. I question if we're going against the written union contract, if there's a flaw there, and I'm not getting into that, but I understand there is a possibility of a glitch there according to the written contract. Those things, you know, we got into part of this problem that we've been having over doing things that we're not in that will be contract. And I just don't want anything else coming out of breaking that contract. A written contract is a written contract and should be obeyed. And if it isn't, it needs to be changed before that change is made. I'm through. Thank you.
So our state's attorney didn't clarify that for
The grievance committee, after we had this done, we waited for it to get sent to Jessica's office and the state's attorney and sent a copy over to Mark Ruzio, which is the FOP head person. It was never done. Finally, Mark called us and asked us if we had some agreement or what we decided at the board meeting, because he was not informed of anything. Gary was kind enough to rewrite what Mark drew up in our agreements that we all signed in person when we met. That's these 8 people down underneath here. We run it, after he run it by Gina up at her office, we took a copy down, and that was on June 29th, and it was filed. So it went through Gina, she approved it, we took it down to Jessica's office, she's got it filed here. We also made 2 phone calls from the grievance committee to Weston Company, who's our person down here at Effingham, who goes over our books. They had no problem with it. They said, if you have any problem, just call them, and they will explain it to you. I highlighted number 3, and they said the best thing that they would suggest is that we do it as not as gross, but as the net, so that we didn't have to go through all the little nitty-gritties, taking stuff out, putting it back in. They said they said you're welcome to do it either way. It can be done, it's just that you've got to go through more work to do the ins and outs of all that. So we thought we'd done our due diligence, getting it through, checking with people. Like I said, if you got questions, Weston Company seems very helpful about answering the questions and things.
Lynn?
Gary, that's not going to be a glitch in the future. This has been accepted by the union, by Dale, his board. What we need to do is accept it within this board here. And I call for a vote.
Point of clarification, and if Tina already have a point of clarification,
We're not public comment.
so I can't ask.
No, you can't.
Not until afterwards. Okay, so Dale calls a vote. Let's have a roll call vote on this today.
Okay. Earl Baker.
I vote no.
Kenny Barr. Barbara Bennett.
Yes.
Levon Cheney.
Yes.
Brian Kaufman.
Yes.
Danny Durbin.
Yes.
Jesse Durbin.
Yes.
Gary Gergany. Richard Hayden.
Yes.
Robert Jordan.
Yes.
Kay Carney. Larry Lenz.
Yes.
Terry Metzger.
Yes.
Bobby Mormon.
Yes.
Gary Patterson.
Yes.
Robert Simpson.
Yes.
David Switz.
Yes.
Jeff Slifer.
Yes.
Dale Weatherill.
Yes.
Lynn Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried. 1 voting no Baker.
Okay. Next item, Gary. You're requesting an approval to accept the letter of engagement for payroll audit and sheriff department with DB&A.
As first stated, I'm requesting approval to accept the letter of engagement from BB&A to audit the sheriff's payroll. I'm tired of this problem being kicked around. I think we need to come up with an answer. If there's something wrong, we fix it. We go down the road. If there's nothing wrong, we put it behind us and go down the road. I've listened to this many months, and I see it causing more and more problems on the board. I'm tired of it. I work for the sheriff. I'm not against the sheriff or anything. All I want to do is get a legal opinion. I've been asked, or somebody can ask me now, why this company. I picked this one mainly because they're a little farther away. I'll be honest with you. I just do not have a local person dealing with it. I've done a little work on the internet to check out this company. They seem to be very solid, very legit. I have no idea who recommended it. There was 3 different ones. By the way, this letter we're approving today, the lady that is going to represent them sent us this letter saying she realized how urgent it was that we needed to get this solved and get it settled. That letter was written on February the 7th. That's how long we kicked this around. The problem was there long before that. I've been there, where are we going to get the money to do this? Well, believe it or not, when we set the budget last year, we budgeted for a new auditor to do our annual audit. And it came in well under what we had anticipated. So we have money sitting there that is marked for an audit. I'm a little strange. I feel like it's meant to be. God provided this money. Let's settle it and get this out of the way. And if we have any other problems, let's take the next problem and get it solved so we can work together for our county. I've worked with a lot of good friends here, but I don't like what I see going on here lately. And I think this is a start. I think they're a good company. I think they will get the job done in a reasonable time, and we can start healing and fixing whatever mistake we've made, if we've made a mistake. I don't know. I'm not questioning either side. I'm just saying let's get it done and get it over with.
I make a motion to accept the letter.
Second. Motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Dale?
On page 2, the second paragraph, I've got a question here. I don't know if this is going to be permissible or not, but it says, we would also interview the board members individually. Now, is there a problem with that? I don't know that part. That almost seems like we're having a private board meeting. No. I'm just questioning.
Are you referring to like an OMA violation?
Yeah.
So if there was 13 of us in there, then yes, it would be a violation of OMA because we have to perform. But since it's one-on-one, it's correct.
Barb?
Well, we have a state police investigation right now, so why don't we wait till we get the state police investigation? And also, we were given 3 choices for this forensic audit anyway. We're not getting any choice in it, but why don't we wait for an official statement from the state police before we do anything and expend the cost of an audit?
It's sounding to me, first of all, the state police is doing a criminal investigation, not an audit.
That's what made it sound like to start with it.
Yes, it did. I agree with you. But from my understanding, I mean, they're looking at numbers and that, but they're not doing a full-blown audit. They're just doing a criminal investigation. That's what they're treated for.
Well, there's nothing criminal, then why would we get an audit?
To solve the question of is there money missing or is there money missing? I want to
Well, they
know.
can find that out.
Pardon?
Police would find that out.
Why don't we wait for their official? In my interview with the state police, they recommended that the county do a payroll audit.
There you go.
That was their recommendation.
We haven't
you
seen
have an
anything
email to that?
brought to our attention for paper, from the state police.
I think we need to wait for that.
I just hate to see us put it off longer and longer and do nothing. We've swept it under the rug long enough. It's time to get an answer.
I keep on hearing people say state police investigation. Where did this emanate from? Did we as a board request that? Did you as the chairman request that?
State's attorney requested it.
Now, when they go through their audit, and are they finished yet?
I haven't, I don't know. I don't have a sheriff here to answer that. Gary?
I can tell you in the law enforcement meeting last week, he told us then they'd been there twice and they were gone, and he verbally just called them and they told him they were done with their visits, but they didn't have a written report done yet. I don't know if you disagree.
So we're waiting on a written report.
I mean, I'd like to see what they've got to say.
But we need to wait. I think you're sound good.
I'm trying to talk to
Okay, so are we at a point where we should call for this and just vote?
I thought we had another vote for here rather than Chicago. I thought we had another bid someplace.
We have 3 bids.
One was vote, wasn't it, someplace?
One was out of Bethany.
Yes.
One was out of Bethany, yes.
Well, that's pretty nice. I don't know if we get somebody here. Chicago was out of cars there and they don't like it.
Well, I'm not so worried
Every
about
time you go to Chicago,
Chicago.
you're going to get it.
I think that I don't have a problem doing an investigation, you guys.
I think
but
it needs to be done.
I think
Now.
this one doesn't have a cap on it. It's $5,000 up front, 150 and 200, and we'll try to keep our hours as low as possible. So we really don't know what it is. Were the other 2 capped?
He had an estimate.
I don't have them in front of me.
You might give them a choice. Here.
Actually, we had a choice, we only proposed to accept this one. It does not
It
have
does not have to be bid, so.
And it's heard about it. All the time I've been on this board, I've been told we can't control what the elected officials do. We can only control money. We can't tell them how to run their program. And I think we're trying real hard to do that. And the state police has made a statement that they don't do the audit. And I'll be honest with you, right now, I'm not real sure that the best one to have investigating is the police. They're trained for criminal investigation.
Well, wouldn't that be the bottom line of the audit? And as far as the term audit, let it be clear that there's different types of audits. There's safety audits, there's financial audits, you know. I am in agreement with Barb. Why would we want to pay for something if we don't know there's a problem?
We do know there's a problem.
Excuse me. If the state police is in the middle of their audit, I think we ought to wait for
Well, how come everybody in the public knows that they're not?
It's
Yes.
not a state police audit. They are not doing an audit.
It's an
I specifically
investigation.
asked the gal that I was interviewed, I said, are you doing an audit? She said, no,
They're not
we,
doing an audit.
because they don't do audits.
They do
do criminal
investigations.
investigations.
Investigate what they were told to do.
Well, I call for a
I call for a no.
Okay, so we call for a vote here. It's going to be a verbal vote. Jessica, call for the yeas and nays.
Baker.
Yes.
Barr.
No.
Bennett.
No.
Cheney. No. Hoffman.
Yes.
Durnovich.
No.
Durbin.
No.
Gervany.
Yes.
Hayden.
No.
Jordan.
No.
Carney. No. Lenz. Metzger.
No.
Orman.
Yes.
Patterson.
No.
Simpson.
No.
Slifer.
Yes.
Switz.
No.
Weatherell.
Yes.
Williams.
No.
Okay, motion fails with 6 voting yes. And
Can a little farther down the road.
14 voting no.
Okay. So the motion failed for now. Okay.
Just a question about where we go from here. Well, I'm not opposed to an audit. I agree with that. Where I'm opposed to is that people obviously had information that I'm sitting on the board that I didn't have. I didn't have the results of the audit. I didn't have any feedback from the state police thing. So, you're critical of our decision, but some of you had information I wasn't privy to until I am here. So all I'm saying is I am for the audit. I believe this issue needs to be settled. I am more questioning that I think it should be a board's decision on who does the audit. Just my opinion.
I have something, Mr. Chairman. No offense to you folks, but I understand your opinion. I'm for an audit too, and I really mean that. But listening to you, and we're trying to do business here. You're not gonna accomplish anything except chaos.
Let's move on to item 10. Item 8's done. David Swift's got discussion of the responsibility of human resources and payroll for the county treasurer's office and electronic time. And assigning human resources. Okay, David?
So I handed out a flyer that you guys want to look at. It's a proposal from a company that I'm kind of involved with in February. It's just to try to get our payroll electronic, so start cutting down on errors.
We have no errors.
Everyone
We have no errors in payroll.
Okay, so David, go ahead.
So anyways, it'll also put kind of benefits online, so all employees will be able to check their benefits. Each department, it'll go kind of do it the way they need it done. There's a lot of different choices. That's the way they can do it payroll. She suggested that we add in HR if we're going to do payroll as well. So it's kind of clean fit together. Anyways, that's kind of proposal. Anyways, if this is something that you guys are interested in looking a little further, she'd be more than happy to come down and present to you to have more questions.
Yes, Earl?
Where are you getting your information that there's errors in payroll?
Excuse me?
Where are you getting information that there's errors in payroll?
I say there's errors.
You said it like Derek said it.
We're all not arguing.
I really didn't explain it.
I'm just saying
He didn't accuse anybody of errors. He said he would come down.
He said there was errors in payroll.
Okay, Gary?
Yes, I know where he got the information. That's all.
I didn't. I'll stand on a bigger target. I'm not against what he's looking at. But we're going through a thing right now where we went out and hired an independent company to repeat a service we're already paying for. Is this hiring our Decatur lawyer over again? Do we legally have the right to hire? I'm sure there may be some way to do it, but I think we have to work it through her and her department, not throw it at her.
How many counties did it show up here?
How many counties there are attorneys represented?
I didn't hear what he said. What did he say?
I asked him how many counties he had checked with to see how many they had worked with.
But the lawyer we hired, he represented several counties too illegally. If that is illegal.
Speak up.
Speak
up. Can't hear you.
I said, I'm not looking to vote for anything. I'm just trying to see if she can come down and present herself so that she can tell us what they do and how it can help us. That's all.
We got somebody.
And this is a proposal.
And I'm fine with that, David, but I think we need a legal opinion before we start down that route again.
You can't do that.
Pardon?
You can't do that. We can't hire a lawyer. So you can get it.
You what?
You can't hire a lawyer so you can get it.
Well, there's got to be some way to work around the state's attorneys. Maybe it's called in a neighboring state's attorney to help us out. We've done that.
We do that
I contacted. Nobody, no government outsources their payroll. They don't do it.
Bobby?
So, on the lines of payroll, exclusively payroll. In the treasurer's statute, it states, "He shall receive and safely keep the revenues and other public monies of the county and all the money and funds authorized by law to be paid to him and disperse the same pursuant to the law." Therefore, how do you circumvent the treasurer to disperse the same pursuant to the law? That's the question I have to payroll. HR can get expensive.
I'm just trying to get.
It's illegal.
Cost is, I'm just trying to get an electronic system to use. So it's helpful for the employees, it's helpful for the employer.
The AXE union said over a year ago, you cannot go to electronic timekeeping or you will have to open the contract. Highway can't go to electronic because when they leave the department out there and they go to Moequa to work for the day, they don't drive back to the department so they can clock out for lunch and clock back in. I mean, the AXE union has said, they said, fine to time sheets, no to a time clock. We can get an electronic timekeeping system in each of our buildings. We looked into it, and AXE said no. They said we could do time sheets, and that's what we are doing.
Okay, Gary?
I guess, you know, what I'm looking at is electronics. Right now, we have the employee manually writing his time in. Then when the sheets go in, they manually get written in there. So we've got a system where basically everybody's manually writing in their come and go times, which takes time away from their job, everybody's job. The job going down the road, the job of people doing. Our officers have to take time to write it in, write the comments of what they did. An electronic system would not only be done one time because it wouldn't be duplicate, it wouldn't be entered 2 or 3 times, it would be entered once. And they are just going to time sheets for the first time. They're making mistakes on their time sheets, and then they have to correct things, but I mean, they talk to other counties are on electronic time sheets, and they can give you the names of those counties they talk to, and they're here in Illinois. Now, one of those counties have their own system to do it, but there are counties that are doing electronic timekeeping. And the electronic timekeeping slows down the time of the money coming to the employee. But electronic timekeeping would let that money come to that employee 1 or 2 days early. It would let them look up their benefits online, just like David said. These companies, for 20 years, have had the ability, you can check your own pay, you can check your own benefits, you got the ability to go online and look at your own account. And that's been around for 20 years in lots of companies.
We can do that now with our benefits. We can all log into our insurance. We can log into conservative.
Eric, hold on. Bobby just got.
So I've worked both sides of this. I've done paper timesheets. I currently do that now. And I've actually used this exact same company in my old job. I'm not going to lie. This is a pain. Because if you change a location, say you're working in a county, and that's really kind of unique to what I was doing, but if I change departments, I had to go in and clock out of my department, clock back into another department to keep that disbursement straight with the company. The other thing was, it was a bit cumbersome to go in and find my benefit time and know exactly where I was at. Some of the labeling was, and maybe it's changed in the last 5 years, but it's not, there wasn't anything to me. But the big thing is the infrastructure is going to take on our end. I mean, are we going to have, you know, like, say for the highway department, you know, a couple $1,000 in iPad or laptop or something, so when they go off-site, they can log in, log out for lunch and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, this particular one is going to be $13,000 and change. And what's the upfront going to cost us?
It's on the sheet. That's worth $1,000.
Yep, that's just for one. So, I see the the problem. But now we're taking a personal advice, and
Sheriff's Department. We have
Right, but take the highway department or.
The highway department is where we're gonna have the issue,
I'm just,
But
I'm not opposed to electronic payroll, as long as it stays in-house. I'm not opposed to electronic payroll as long as it stays in-house.
isn't the sheriff?
I'm not opposed to electronic timekeeping, not payroll. Electronic timekeeping, as long as it stays in-house and is managed by our own people. Right.
I think it's good to have to look outside the box sometimes. I mean, that's what we need to do. I think that's why we've got a few younger guys on here that are starting to try to look outside the box, see if we can, help things, move things in a different direction. I think this is what that's about, to try to get some outside thinking, think different. See if we can get anything to help. Yeah, I think so.
That's what everybody thinks. I mean, if they start to think that, even whether they're younger or older, we want to get it better than.
I'm not saying real.
Okay, so we've started a conversation, and it sounds like electronic timekeeping is something that we want to look towards. I have not had any discussion with ASME. The discussion with ASME was over a year ago. As far as electronics and getting rid of the written, that's up to you guys to work on a little bit. So we.
What we really need to start focusing on is how to save taxpayer money in this county. It's not keep spending. Every time we turn around, I want to spend money. Spend money. When we're going to save taxpayers money, what we're going to let them do.
That's what we've been trying to do, Earl.
No, you sound like it.
Yes, it
You get
is.
down the road, you got a good
You
proposal,
gotta be
get
able to
something
work
done,
with people,
kick it
or
down
else
the road.
you can't work with.
More money. What are we going to do? Pay it out, pay it out.
Okay, so are we finished with number 10?
No.
Gary? No?
Just got a quick comment. I mean, it's efficiency, and efficiency is money. If we're paying a patrolman to set X number of minutes every day and do his time sheet, and then at the end of the time period, to review his time sheet and make sure it's correct, and then have someone else do his time sheet and make sure it's correct, and that happens 2 or 3 times, then that's money. That time he's not on patrol. He's doing bookkeeping, not on patrol. He's not watching his prisoners, he's doing bookkeeping. So
I understand
That's-
that. I understand that. And I'll tell you something else, today. I've been on this board just for a short period of time. We got 22 board members. That's cost. We don't need no more than 11 on this county board. We need to be looking more at trying to save money for this county.
And Earl, you don't have representation from where we're from, I can tell you what will happen.
You don't need 22 members on this board.
We will not have representation out there rural
11
areas.
members will be 20 for the county. I've been going to these counties.
That's not on the agenda.
I know it's not.
Okay, so let's get back to the agenda. Any more discussion on Dave's item? Bobby?
Just one more point to this particular setup. I know I've used it before. When you reference the time it takes to fill out a time sheet and then your supervisor has to approve it, it still has to be done in a year. You still have to go in at the end of the day and approve, log in, log out, and then approve that at the end of the pay period. And then your supervisor still has to go through and double check and make sure that, hey, did you take a 10-minute lunch break? Like you logged in, logged out too fast, and that should be 30 minutes or whatever. So there's times when adjustments have to be made. So the supervisor, no matter if it's paper or electronic, you can still make mistakes and stuff is great. With that said, paper's still cheaper.
You may not even say it's made the adjustment. Horses are not cheaper.
Okay, any further discussion on item 10? If none, we move on to item 11. Bruce Cannon, Chairman, discussion regarding the Shelby County's Trade Human Resources, item tabled at the June meeting. Item 9, item 10, item 11, all the same things. I don't think we need to go any further into it. We're not gonna make any changes today. So I suggest we skip item 11, go straight to item 12. County Highway Engineer, Alan Spencer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, this morning I have full resolutions of petition and some updates from previous meetings. Presents. I'll start with the petition. I have a petition from the Richmond Highway Commissioner to replace a box culvert with pipe at an estimated cost of $10,000. It's located about 2 miles west of Strasburg. It's in a deteriorated situation. I'm asking approval to help Richland Township with this replacement at a cost share between the township at 50% and the county at 50%.
A motion from David Switz, second from Larry Lance. Any questions?
Is the pipe same size as the topsoil?
The pipe will be at a minimum the same size, probably looking at 2 pipes in this location in order to fit it.
Okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, now move ahead.
Okay, the next 3 resolutions all deal with the same topic, they're different projects, but I reported several times that the county is going to get capital bill funding. It's called Rebuild Illinois funding from what was passed last June. We received our first payment, I believe it was this month, maybe last month, of $158,000. We should get another check later on this year. 2 checks per year for the next 3 years. The way all local agencies are getting additional funding also, it's based on a formula-based situation. But we received our first payment, and because of the amount we received, which will total over $900,000 over 3 years, the state has said we can only spend this funding on bondable projects, which they have defined as projects that have a service life in excess of 13 years. So what these 3 resolutions I'm about to present to you gets started in that manner. I would anticipate that I will be coming before you in the future with more resolutions. Keep that in mind. So if you don't like the way I'm doing it now, I won't do it in the future. So the first resolution I have, first of all, is there any questions on that? Just go back on why I'm doing the resolution. Okay, the first resolution I have is to use the Rebuild Illinois Fund, a portion of the Rebuild Illinois funds, to go towards what I call the Country Club Road upgrade project, which has been approved to move forward. The Country Club Road project, known by the state as the Federal Land Access Program project. I use it locally as a Country Club Road. That is my information. We received 2 grants in the amount of $2.1 million to upgrade that road. We have expenses of our own. I'm anticipating spending $90,000 out of the Rebuild Illinois Fund towards that project. So I'm requesting approval. And I have to get this approved in the state of Illinois too. Whatever we pass here is not necessarily implemented. It has to be approved by the Illinois Department of Transportation. So I'm asking approval for this county to apply some Rebuild Illinois funds in the amount up to $90,000 for that money.
What are you doing?
What we're doing is we are resurfacing from basically the city limits of Shelbyville north, basically to Possum Creek access area. The project I
requested was to go to the Coon Creek access area. It was not, I asked for $2.2 million to do that, I received 1.6. We've got an additional funding of $500,000 to go to our match, it's an 80-20 match. So I'm anticipating it to go to the Possum Creek access.
Any further questions? Do I have a motion, Dale? Second by Denny. No further discussion. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay,
Second of the three resolutions, this one is to use a portion of the Rebuild Illinois capital funds towards what I have labeled the Westervelt Bridge project. The state knows it as the Major Bridge Grant Program. On the county highway that goes into Westervelt, there's a bridge that we received a grant for a couple of years ago in the amount of, actually I'm thinking it was around $1 million. I did not bring that amount, so I might have that wrong a little bit. I know it's a minimum of $1 million because that program only awards projects that are over $1 million. It's an 80-20 match project, 80% from the grant, 20% local funds or state funds. I'm anticipating our expenses will be $50,000. So I'm asking approval to use Rebuild Illinois funds and amount up to $50,000 towards that project.
any questions? Got a motion by Bob and a second by Jesse. Any question? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, Alan.
The final resolution is, we've talked a lot about over the years of improving our salt storage facilities at the highway department. I am asking to use Rebuild Illinois funds up to $55,000 to purchase and install a salt storage building at the highway department facility yards.
That's the total cost.
That I expect the cost to be less than that. Yes, total cost. We have
By
a
Dale.
quote for $31,000.
Second by Gary. Any discussion? If, I've got a second, thanks. Any discussion? If none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Okay, Alan.
The final resolution is on a separate topic. We have, and I've reported on this for quite a while, we received 100% funding to upgrade a railroad crossing approach that is located near Westerville. It's just south of the winery. That railroad crossing, I'm familiar with that area. The Illinois Commerce Commission awarded us 100% funding for that project. However, there is a due date on this project, and it's already July. So what I'm asking, we have scheduled a bid letting for July 20th out of the highway department, 9 a.m. What I'm asking is that the county board give authority to the Road and Bridge Planning Committee to award the project based on the low bid so that I can get this thing going. I really don't want to wait till August. I can. If you want us to, want me to. I'm just trying to get her moving.
Dale? Dale, got it. You got a first from Dale, we got a second? Second. Earl's a second. Discussion, please.
I trust my committees around here, all the people are on. Sometimes, even though we say the lowest bidder, you may have somebody that comes in within $1,000 or something. They're going to do better work. I guess I'd like to leave the discretionary part to this committee, that if it's close and they trust another company better than the lowest bidder, and because all the people work and do all this stuff most of the time.
Yeah, my situation is a little, you might be able to do that on projects that are using local money, but when I'm using state, federal money, I have to go out there.
Discussion, Bobby.
Yeah, as much as I would really like to get this project rolling, I just am very apprehensive about, do we have the authority, do we have the authority to relinquish the ability of a committee to spend money? I mean, I'm questioning about that.
I don't know. I know we've done this before. I know that's not an excuse. No, we're doing something now.
Legal now. It's legal now.
The committee is not spending the money. They are just awarding to the local bidder.
Same thing with the board, and then they'll come up to the board.
But I understand, especially the dynamics of this board, from what I'm listening over the months, I understand if you would not want to relinquish that authority. I'm just recommending it. I don't recommend it very often. I'm just doing it in this particular case because there happens to be a due date. And I was asked how long the project costs. This is mainly a project that deals with moving dirt. And just like the agricultural community, when you're moving dirt, it's guesswork, because if it rains, you're shut down for a while. So that's the only reason I'm doing it, and I understand that you don't want me.
David, was your question?
I just wondered what the due date was.
The due date's December, but we won't be working in December with the project, so it shrinks up even more.
Okay. Any further question? We have a first and a second. Ready to call the vote? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Okay.
But you did?
I just have a few updates. I've been reporting last month that the bridge in Prairie Township that is closed. Currently due to structural problems, the state bid that project, bid that project. The low bidder was Owen Construction Company at a bid price of approximately $326,000. The estimate was $288,000, so it was overbid. We did receive several bidders. The project was funded 80% federal, 16% state, and 4% to be split equally between the county and the township on construction costs. So that project, we have no action here. That's why it's not on the agenda. Actually, the contract is between the Illinois Department of Transportation and the contractor, in this case, and we really need to replace that bridge. I already talked about it opening for the Western Railroad crossing July 20th at 9 a.m. The bridge in the Windsor Township that is taking, seems like, forever to be built. They're like 95% done. They are working on it today. The only issue right now is apparently the guardrail or bridge rail subcontractor has gone out of business. So we're dealing with that situation. But right now we're working on paperwork on it, so it really hasn't held up anything at this point. And that's my report, unless there's other ones. Yes, sir.
Is there any money left for that Calvin and Harris road we mapped out there last year?
The Cotton Herrick Road is scheduled to be constructed in the spring. In the spring of next year. It is funded with our federal allotment and state match allotment. Not the money that I was
Not this spring, will that be a bidder or will it be contractor for I see what, he had a new contractor doing that, or the same contractor?
It will be, by the Illinois Department of Transportation.
I did go to the operating engineer with that project. First thing the foreman on the job asked me, he said, have you ever worked on this project? Yeah. And that was the guy from the contractor. They didn't know what they were doing.
The contractors that are hired by the Illinois Department of Transportation, these are contracts with the Illinois Department of Transportation, not us, or not the county, and contractor. They have to be pre-qualified, and they are reviewed for their qualifications, and they have a certain amount of dollar amount, it's called certificate of eligibility, for doing certain types of work.
Any further question, Alan? Go ahead.
Just to mention that, the Tar Heel Road there, looks like it keeps coming apart. It had nothing done to it for 30 years. It's put a little oil there a few years back, about 20 years ago.
Right?
And then never did work right. Never did do any good, you know. And now we ain't did nothing to it, but it just keeps coming apart. Just ever go ahead. You got any rock you put in or anything? Sand or?
We're planning on doing a section this year, actually, of oil and bitumen.
Looks like maybe we gotta get this into the county up there, this heavy end up there, first. And if anything left, we take down on it. Yeah, I got money
Okay, any other questions of Alan? Okay. Okay, it's time for committee reports. Anybody want to report on their committees? Barb?
Police and salaries, we had something come up yesterday, we had a meeting presented just to approve this, well, somebody over, ESTB meeting or whatever, but it was a virtual meeting. And we weren't sure, we just said, meeting online. Well, we didn't know at the time, though, what type of meeting it was, so we had to check it out. It was a virtual meeting or a Zoom meeting? A Zoom meeting. So we approved that to pay, just so everybody knows, like when we take those classes for public meetings and sexual harassment, we don't ever pay for those. But this type of meeting, we have to be there with other people, and we approve that. Because when everybody goes, that's the first time that has come up.
Any other committees? Dale, public knowledge?
This is the grievance committee.
Grievance?
We received back from the head of the FOP. Great news. Thank you.
How much?
All right.
How much to get back?
No, they're happy with our
Thank you.
resolution.
Just got back.
Okay. Any other committees? Anything going on? Okay. Chairman updates. We did have a resignation from Kay Carney. This is Kay's last meeting. I'd like to thank Kay for her service to this board. There's been a lot occurred on Kay's watch. She's been involved in the 9/11 or the addressing committee. She helped build organize and put together the new animal facility, animal shelter that we have in town. And she's done a lot of work. She's worked strongly with the FOP over the last few years. And I know that everybody doesn't think we've worked hard enough. Kay's put in a lot of tireless hours. And so thank you, Kay. Thank you.
Baker?
Yes.
Carr,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Cheney,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Durnovich,
Yes.
Durbin,
Yes.
Gergen,
Yes.
Key,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Carney,
Yes.
Lenz,
Yes.
Metzger,
Yes.
Mormon,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Slifer, Switz,
Yes.
Weatherup,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, motion carried. Time for public body comment. Somebody got something to say out there?
I'm long-winded, I wrote it, that way I won't go long. Item 1. County Board owes the treasurer an apology. Somebody was supposed to applaud, okay. Thank you. I've come to the last, 8 county board meetings now, and fortunately there wasn't a lot of mutual recommendations today, but I can tell you I'm sick and tired of the crap. The witch hunt really has to end. We got bullies on the board, and I'm going to call them out, and that's Mr. Cannon and Mr. Bennett. And I do want to say, there's been none of that today, or very little, and I'm glad about that. Maybe we're turning the corner there. Either way, the treatment she's had has been ridiculous. Item 2. Budget discussion for the next fiscal year is taking place. Is that right?
Correct.
We need a balanced budget.
Amen.
Anything else is misappropriation, misuse, and abuse of taxpayer dollars. Balance the budget good without raising taxes. Item 3. This board needs new leadership. I will run down the list. Illegal payments to illegally hired attorneys, continual attacks on elected office holders. Illegal meetings, illegal controlling of the board's agenda, illegal abstaining from voting are hallmarks of current leadership. This leadership is unprofessional, unbecoming, and demonstrates that personal politics rule where they have no place at all. The chairman should resign from the board, not just from the chairmanship, but from the board. Item 4. The scheduling of these meetings makes it hard for the taxpaying voter to do their job. The taxpaying voter, the taxpaying voting citizen, is supposed to keep government in line. When we have meetings on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., it's really hard for the people to do their job. These meetings need to be moved to a time when more citizens can attend. Item 5. Having 22 board members is absolutely ridiculous. There are 84 counties in Illinois that operate on the township style of governance. There is only one county that I know of, there may be others, only one that I know of that has more board members than this county. We talked about having less representation. This is easy to fix. You have 22 board members in 11 districts. Go down to 1 representative per district instead of 2. Saves the taxpayer money, saves a lot of time, and everybody still has representation. Item 6. Some of the board's recent problems have been allowed to occur because of complacency. Some board members have served in their roles for many, many years. While this continued service is appreciated, and while I may point it, I do actually mean that this service is appreciated, because not very many people want to do your job, and it's hard, and I understand. So I do appreciate the service. I want to go out of my way to say that. It's led to a lack of inspired leadership and an abundance of derelict office holders. Therefore, I believe term limits is a good idea for this body. Some have become very complacent, some are non-active, not engaged, say nothing, do nothing. Talk about a waste. That trash needs to be taken out. Item 7. I read an article that stated that a limitation on public body comment may be in the works. I was pleased to see that it did not make its way onto the agenda today. With all the problems and all the crack storms swirling around most of what is going on, sticking a stick in the public people's eye is probably not a good idea right now.
politicians buy their privilege to govern at the cost of total responsibility. Y'all are responsible for the mess. Some of you weren't here when the mess was created, but you're all responsible for not having cleaned it up in the months and months and months and months and months and months that have gone on. And you're no closer to solving these problems now than you were when the biggest part of the storm hit the fan in January. Nothing. And opportunities even today to do something toward solving problems, and chose not to. I have one more thing. This one's nice. Mrs. Carney, thank you for your years of hard work and service. You have been a voice of reason, logic, and rationale on a sea of utter ridiculousness. And I thank you for being professional. You are one of few who speak up fairly regularly, have not made a fool of yourself, have not embarrassed the board, have not drug the county through the mud. We need more like you, not less. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to piggyback and say ditto to his words. Okay, thank you very much for what you've done, and I agree completely that you have been a voice of reason, but you've also been a voice of calm and not been rude, crude, and mean to your county's all board members and elected officials, so thank you very much. I want to start with words matter. Words matter. So I'm going to go back to a couple of items that were on the agenda today. First being the request for a payroll audit by an outside firm. You guys got it all conflated with the term investigation and audit. A criminal investigation is ongoing by the state police. It's looking for criminal intent. Even if they come back and their finding is that there was no criminal intent, it does not mean that overpayments were not made. Overpayments could still be made, there just wasn't criminal intent to take that money or to make those payments. That is why doing the payroll audit is so vitally important. As Mr. Gergany so kindly said, and thank you, Mr. Gergany, for having back some taxpayers. Thank you. Even if the state police come back and say there was no criminal intent, so it's not a criminal issue, it does not mean money has been overspent. I believe the day, I don't remember what meeting it was, but you had the two parties here. There were 3 proposals provided for payroll audit. 2 of those entities were invited to speak to you all that day. Not the third. Why not? Why was that third party not allowed to give her presentation just like the other 2 were to give? That's not, excuse me?
She was unable to attend.
That's not true.
She was never contacted.
She was not invited, to my knowledge. She was never
I believe,
contacted.
didn't the finance committee ask her to come speak?
No.
Budget? I'm sorry.
Actually, in fact, she was invited to a budget, but then COVID hit and we didn't have a budget. She was not invited to that.
Thank you for the clarification.
The gentleman, I don't remember what entity he was in, but sat on that chair, fully admitted in that meeting that he is not an auditor. I don't know how you spend money to have a payroll audit done by somebody that is not a trained auditor. I believe he educated municipalities and stuff and helped them build policies and procedures. That's not.
I'm still with her.
Yeah, Belleville, thank you. That's not what we need. We need a payroll audit. Thirdly, that. The other gentleman that was from Bethany, I understand that's somebody that's more local and close, but that gentleman and his firm have also done work with our sheriff's department and our state's attorney. There's a conflict of interest there. Mr. Gertie's point to getting somebody that's further away, as a taxpaying citizen, I want an entity that does not have any dealings with Shelby County so that we can feel comfortable as taxpayers when that audit is done. For the 6 of you that voted yea, pass for that, thank you. Thank you for having the taxpayers back. Words matter. As it states, number 10 on this. David Switz, discussion to move responsibilities of human resource and payroll from, taking away, moving from the Shelby County Treasurer's Office to electronic timekeeping methods and assigning HR and payroll duties for for Shelby County to an outside company. There is a significant difference between purchasing an electronic timekeeping system for our elected officials that we are already paying money to perform their duties, and using an electronic time system and taking those duties away from and giving it to an outside firm. We have to quit spending taxpayer monies for jobs that our elected officials are capable of doing and are doing. And we've had elected officials in the past that have not fulfilled those duties, have not protected the taxpaying citizens. And the taxpayers voted people into office to get that change and take it away. Bobby, thank you. Thank you for having statutes pulled up. Thank you for reading them. And thank you for pointing it out. Those are things that everybody on this board should be doing. As you read in the state attorney statutes, all monies and funds are to be handled through the treasurer's office. It doesn't matter who's sitting in that treasurer's seat. It should have been being done that way when the previous treasurer was there, and it should be done that way when the next treasurer comes into office. That's what the statute says. So the EJ Water FEMA grant that you all just voted on, Chairman Cannon moved the handling of that fund to the FEMA office. Why is that fund being handled outside of the treasurer's office? It's water. How does EJ Water have anything to do with the Federal Emergency Act? Management agency, I'm sorry. Why are we taking things away from... This is a check and balance. Your elected officials are check and balancing you. You guys should be check and balancing your elected officials. Quit fighting each other. Do what's right. And this is that the voices you're hearing from out here only create chaos. They only create chaos for you because you refuse to listen to them. These people... Jeremy pointed out, to January, when some of this stuff started to hit the fan, and it's been ignored and ignored and ignored, and people have sat out here and been quiet until public body comment, and then public body comment made their comments to flat out be ignored.
Okay, I'd like to address you now without, and I didn't interrupt you, and that's the way it should be done. I sit there and listen to it. I don't agree with you. I think out there, you folks are so emotional on these issues that a lot of vocal things. It doesn't help the meeting for these people. You're not gonna, that's not a solution. To yell out or to clap or something. I understand your views. I agree with some of your views. I disagree with others, But we need to have some type of order in here instead of when we're in here. Now wait a minute, I get finished. Instead of interrupting all these guys, because you said you couldn't hear earlier. I had another person said, "Can I talk in the peanut gallery?" This is a meeting.
This is not a peanut gallery. This is not.
Exactly. Those aren't my words.
That's you just said it.
No, I said individual. Excuse me.
Yeah, you said peanut gallery.
You just called us a peanut gallery. That's offensive.
No, I did not. I said an individual said from the peanut gallery.
Okay, fine.
Now, that's what I said. So don't please twist my words. And there again, you've interrupted. I'm asking you folks not to interrupt. Let us conduct our meeting. If you want to argue with us, that's fine. You have every right to do that. But there are times and places to do that.
This is for you.
Yes, I am.
When, like I said, going back to January, these people sat out here and they were quiet. And nothing changed. And then we listened to, again, words matter, and the conflating of criminal investigation and audit, when these people have been begging for an audit for how long? And we're ignored, and we're ignored, and we're ignored. At some point, when taxpaying citizens are being ignored, we do get frustrated, and we do get vocal. and that's just a part of it, and that's a part of what happened. If you listen and we see change and we see collaboration, and we see the crap that's going on get fixed, maybe you have less outbursts during.
Okay, I have one other.
Amen. Yeah.
But, you know, it doesn't matter what I'm going to say. It's wrong. You know, no matter what we do is wrong. We don't. What are you shaking your head?
That's not true. We've asked for a payroll audit. Going back 5 years.
I am for the audit.
Well, you made it sound like it was criminal, so, and you go to the state's attorney, and that's our attorney, so that's what we're
Where's the state's attorney at?
An audit figures out whether or not there have been overpayments made. I just stood there and stated.
And you make it sound like they was overpaying criminally, so that could be overpaid.
I did not say that they were being overpaid.
Yes, it was said a number of times.
May I finish my comment? Is that okay? I stood up there and said there is a difference between a criminal investigation and a payroll audit. I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything.
Nobody has been, if that's what was
Your
going
state's
down.
attorney is the one that called in the state police. That's what somebody just, I think it was Chairman Keenan that said. The state's attorney called in the state police. I didn't call the state police and say, hey, I think there's some criminal going on in Shelby County.
Recommended.
The point is, excuse me?
It was recommended to have the state's attorney get on the state police and investigate it.
That was not done by me, sir. I'm trying to say that a payroll audit is something very, very different than the state police doing a criminal investigation.
Because it was sounded like it was criminal.
No, we do a payroll audit because I think it's already been proven or established that there has been an overpayment of funds. When our sheriff took this department against the union contract to 4 days a week, 10 hours a day, when the union contract states it's a 5-day work week and 8 hours, these deputies are getting paid for 10 hours in a 2-week period for hours not worked. That's on the taxpayers' backs. Period. And when you go back 5 years ago when he implemented this without any change to the union contract, and you start crunching numbers, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money when you're talking about an unbalanced budget.
Homework.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Thanks. I am the one who used the word peanut gallery. Okay? I confess, I'm sorry, poor choice. I want to say, yes, I don't know who you are, Len, but you're on the mark. And Martha, I know who you are, and you're on the mark. I want to say as a taxpayer, and I spoke last month as a taxpayer, the reason I've spoken referring to myself as a peanut gallery is I asked for a point of clarification. And I said, may I ask for a point of clarification because I did not know if we could do this. I'm used to attending meetings when there is some confusion and there can be a point of clarification and an explanation. That's all I was asking for, and I was not demeaning us because we are the taxpayers. And we are tired. Folks, you're not only not doing right, some of this stuff is illegal. When are we going to get heard and do it right and do it legal? This is ridiculous what we're doing. And I think we should all be ashamed to be a part of it. And Kay, thank you for your service. You helped me in more than one occasion.
Any other public body comment?
John Kraft. I just got a couple comments. Audit the payroll. I think deep down in the back of your mind, you know what's going to come out of the audit, which is probably why you're voting to not audit it. Because you know what's going to happen. You know the treasurer is correct. You know they're overpaid. And the question is going to be, are you going to make them pay it back? Number two, the new agreement you just voted for with the FOP, is that a loan that they're going to pay back? property real estate taxes at the airport and county farm yet?
That would be a no.
Well, the leaseholder pays the real estate taxes, the county does not. And you talk about wanting to save money. We'll make the proper person pay the real estate taxes. Cut your board down to 11 people. That's damn near half the expense of the board right there. Get the money back that was overpaid to the deputies. Whether they knew they were getting overpaid and didn't record it, or whether they didn't know. It doesn't matter. If it was overpaid, it's due to the taxpayer. That's all I have.
I'll do my best to be brief. State's attorney gave herself a illegal pay raise. She paid back. I don't think it's asking too much for those who got compensated in excess of what they had legally due to recover that money. Correct me if I'm wrong, Erica. I believe she said the state police requested a payroll audit. Is that correct? Was it the state police that told you they request the county do a payroll audit? Okay. On the subject of criminality, I believe you will find, at least our investigation has found, it was your illegally hired attorney, Ed Flynn, that recommended a criminal investigation. How ironic. In regards to overcompensation, Chairman, are you going to pay back any of the overpayments for meetings that didn't take place and didn't follow the plan of the resolution for compensation? Are you paying that?
Me, for attending economic development.
For meetings that were outside the resolution, were you paying that back?
I wasn't, because I didn't have any intention of it, no, because it's common practice of the board. During those meetings, I've stopped changing.
Okay.
So I probably ought to stop going to all the meetings that the chairman is supposed to go to. Is that correct?
Actually, that's an
I mean,
important.
that's a good question.
Yes,
Should I stop, should I get off of economic development? The things that the chairman has to go to?
That's a great question, and I do appreciate it, and it addresses your comments, sir, in regards to chaos. There's been great questions today, and the challenge we've seen since January is, more often than not, we don't get actual answers. And to answer that question, as a chairman, whatever your duties are determined by the board. If those were something that was provided, they should have put it in the resolution. But my follow-up question to that is it okay to be paid outside of the adopted compensation resolution? I think you'll find the answer to that is no. I'm not saying don't go to those meetings. You're here to serve the people, or you're here to collect a paycheck. There's a difference.
Yeah, I'm getting paid.
Yes,
You know, I go to those meetings and I'm not turning it in. I was told 12 years ago to turn that stuff in that past board members had. So I followed past protocol. Once you called me down.
And you did the right thing. And how that's fixed in the future is when the board adopts compensation resolution, it can be addressed in that as part of ongoing fixing of the problem. That's how you fix the problem. The fact that you stopped, my hat's off to you. I appreciate you did that. That's doing the right thing. I got no problem with that. That's the goal. In the closed session meeting, does everybody comply with their open meetings act training? Is there anybody that hasn't? No hands, I'm assuming everybody's complied. Okay. In closed session, there's been discussion, which actually I would call it a commission, that you guys need a resolution to hire Ed Flynn legally. You guys don't have the power to hire him with a resolution or any other means. Has the state attorney told you how to legally fix that problem? Has she told you that? She hasn't. Okay. You want me to tell you how to fix it?
Tell us.
No?
Yes.
Tell us.
Yes.
I'm asking the board. I'm asking the board. Do you want to know how to fix it?
Yeah.
Okay. In 1976, the county board authorized one assistant state's attorney. One.
attorney office hire that person. Okay? Only the state's attorney can do the hiring, but the board controls two factors: the money, budget, and the number of assistant state's attorneys. If you want a second assistant state's attorney, all you have to do is increase the number. It's spelled out clearly in the statute for your powers and duties. If you increase it to 2, now your state's attorney is free and clear to hire a person if it's in their budget. If it's in their budget, she can go hire whoever she wants as an assistant state's attorney. And it's outlined in her statutes on how to do that. It's a simple fix, and I'm shocked that she hasn't read it. Maybe I shouldn't be shocked. I mean, I understand there's a lot going on, but there are simple solutions to the problems. As far as during the closed session, there was comments about Ed Flynn and how great of an attorney he is. I have never questioned whether Ed Flynn has done good or bad for the county. He made us the greatest lawyer in the world. All we've asked is just to make sure that the hiring is done properly. One of the issues in regards to HR and this whole payroll thing, Chairman, I appreciate your statement in closed session, part of it. We are in a, excuse me, I can't complain about it. She's right about the hours in the sheriff department. She's been right about a lot of this stuff. Why in the world, if the person's right about it, are you fighting her so hard? She's identified, at least the spreadsheets I've seen, upwards of $400,000 of compensation that's gone out the door that shouldn't have. Your own attorney suggested a criminal investigation. Your state's attorney requested it. The state police come to her and say, the county needs to do a payroll audit. I would urge you, I beg you, you have the power to do a motion to reconsider. Hire the auditor and do a payroll audit. The purpose is to identify that dollar figure so you can recover that money. You can recover it. I know one law firm says, oh, it's pretty hard. It's hard because some people may go somewhere else. If that's what they choose to do, so be it. But people have a right to recover that money. And the best way to recover it is through a payroll audit that shows, yes, they were overpaid this much. It's a factual document. It's independent. Then it can happen. Because that's a much better route to go than a plaintiff coming in and saying, you know what, I'm going to sue the county to recover all that money. Which they can do that. I don't think you want to go that route. But a simple motion to reconsider can fix that problem. I think that's a simple, quick solution that solves a lot of folks' concerns. Chairman, you made a comment that you've not had a chance to talk with anyone with the doggone watchdog sitting back there misquoting you. If I misquoted you, let me know, and I'll run a publication to correct any misquote.
When did I make that comment?
Closed session. And that's a quote. It's on my
That's fine.
If I have, I apologize, but I don't think I have because you don't answer my emails. You've never answered one.
I have no reason to engage with you.
And that's fine. I understand that. But my quotes, if I quote, so everybody knows, it comes from an audio tape that we've obtained or a videotape. So if I misquoted you as you claim, let me know. Show me where I did that and I'll correct it. But as far as us sitting back here misquoting you, that has nothing to do with you not talking to people. And that was all in the closed session, that you used us as an excuse for not talking to folks. We're not here to be the excuse. We've got solutions to the problem. You're not alone. We deal with this statewide, all over. Very similar situations. The chaos that you reference typically comes from not having an honest discussion respectfully. And ma'am, I forget your last name, Kay, I believe is your first name. I concur. You are a voice of calm. You're a voice of wisdom. The questions, your comments, they come from the heart. And we see it because we see so many different public bodies interact. And I do appreciate that. These problems can be fixed. They're easy to fix. I urge a motion to reconsider. Yes, sir.
Are we as board members under a legal obligation to try to recoup money that has been wrongly paid?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's why I think a motion to reconsider is
That lady was I.
It has been from a lawyer. He's not a lawyer, but
Oh, No, you need to let it.
Please make a motion to reconsider on the payroll audit. Thank you.
Of course.
Right on the money.
Second, further discussion. Those in favor say